Make sure you stick around to the end because we want to share a little bit more about Jubilee and this series.
Until then, enjoy the episode.
There is no making America great again. It implies that we want to go back to racism.
I disagree.
It implies we want to go back to having...
It's already crazy, bro. It's already crazy.
I mean, that's the eye opener. That's how they get you.
I was trying to skip it, bro. I was trying to skip it, but they. Have you watched Middle Ground, by the way?
I watched Jubilee content and
I've
Middle
never
Ground.
watched Middle Ground. I don't know what this is like.
I haven't watched this video in particular. No,
I've never watched any Middle Ground one, so I'm assuming that like Middle Ground is like we try to find like a common ground that we both believe in. So let's see.
All right, let's see how this disaster is gonna go.
It says we brought Republicans and Democrats together to spark a dialogue about their differences and similarities.
I wonder what similarities they're gonna have. None.
I am Charity. I am a social justice advocate and a Democrat.
Ooh.
My name is Michael. I work as a fiduciary in the
Bro,
finance
they
industry,
have.
and I'm a Republican.
It's bothering me. They put the Republicans on the left and the Democrats on the right.
Student, and I am a conservative. I'm Josh.
You notice that? Why are the Democrats on the right?
My name is Christy.
They put the Republicans on the left.
a dating app called Writer.
My name is Alan Suarez. I'm a student and political organizer.
Look,
and I am a Democrat.
the Democrats are on the right.
Wait, interesting.
Oh, now they flipped. They realized. They were like, oh, we.
The same political beliefs as my parents.
Wait, hold on. Pause the video. It's kind of interesting how their career paths kind of line together in their political beliefs.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
So one is a fiduciary in their bank. So that's a financial type of career. And a lot of people, when they think about like conservatives and Republicans, they think that they are like more economically sound than Democrats. And one was a social justice advocate, which a lot of people would think that is more left leaning. And another one was, I believe, a writer, which a lot of people think that writers are also more left leaning. And I believe one was the CEO of a like dating app, and a lot of people.
Yeah, I caught that one.
And then could we go to the other two?
Yeah, let's just rewatch it. Let's really pay. I was just paying attention to the seats.
Yeah.
Because they had the Democrats on the right and the Republicans on the left. It was fucking. My OCD was like, who did this shit?
Fire the producer. Yep.
Wait, so let's.
I am Charity. I am a social justice advocate and a Democrat.
So yes, social justice advocate.
Yep.
My name is Michael. I work as a fiduciary in the finance industry, and I'm a Republican.
So what does that mean?
Fiduciary assistant. So it's I believe that's like basically helping people like build their portfolio, build their like stocks, build like a sort of like accountant style type of career.
Okay.
Not 100%, but that in the realm.
Okay.
My name is Hope. I'm a political activist as well as a student, and I am a conservative.
Ooh.
I'm Josh. I'm a writer in the film industry, and I'm a Democrat.
My name is Christy. I'm a conservative, and I run a dating app called Writer.
My name is Alan Suarez. I'm a student and political organizer, and I'm a Democrat.
There you go.
Okay, let's get into this.
I have the same
A lot of the Democrats are gonna have different political beliefs than their parents. Oh, see this? Okay, yeah, the same, right? That's what they asked.
Yeah,
the
the same.
A lot of times I do get told that I'm only a conservative because my parents are, when in actuality, they rarely talked about politics. It wasn't until very recently that I realized, yeah, my parents are conservative. They really wanted...
I don't think parents have as much influence over people's political identity as some people think.
Oh yeah. So let's see here. There's 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat that's agreed that they have the same political beliefs as their parents. So that's like, so 4 out of 6, right? So that's a pretty large percentage.
Yeah, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans.
2 Democrats, 2. No, the 3. So she's a Republican, he's a Republican, she's a Republican, and this is a Democrat.
No, because the Democrats are gonna be on the same side.
No. Hope is a Republican.
No, look.
My name is Michael. I work as a fiduciary in the finance industry.
So he said yes.
My name is Hope. I'm a political
Oh.
Yep.
conservative because my parents are, when
See?
in actuality, they
Oh.
rarely talk...
That's weird. Why are they on opposite sides?
I don't know. Whoever
Jubilee did not figure this out, bro. This is not intuitive, man.
fire the producer.
Politics, it wasn't until very...
But yeah, I don't think parents have much of an influence. Like, I don't think if my parents lean right, and I don't think if they weren't vocal about any of their political ideologies, I don't think it would have changed my outcomes.
I do actually believe that if your parents skew a certain way, but they actually have to be actionable in how they raise you. So if they raise you to be, maybe like right or left leaning, and like maybe like some sort of like how they do their upbringing of you, I feel like that you will be more inclined to be that sort of way when you grow up.
Definitely could. I think they could skew, but I also think they could do the opposite.
Yeah, 100%.
Like people who like hate their parents, they might be like, oh, I never want to be anything like them. Oh, my parents lean this way politically, I'm going to lean the opposite way.
As sort of like,
so I think it could go both ways. I think it's really random. I don't think parents can intentionally influence.
As sort of like a rebel way. I feel like we should do more research on that on a different thing.
Yeah,
awesome.
Definitely. I would be interested to see that.
Recently that I realized, my parents are conservative. They really wanted my sisters and I
You can pause it whenever you feel.
to come to our own beliefs and whatnot.
I do have pretty much the same views as my parents, but I'm the first one to actually be able to vote and be outward politically about my views. Well, I come from a low-income family. My dad's disabled, and they tried and they fought very hard to keep me in a good school so I can critically think on my own. And
I wonder if they're going to
constantly
disagree on
question and
anything on this.
challenge my beliefs and the views of society.
Why did you decide to lean left?
I'd say primarily where I was, but I did give both a chance.
Sure,
I read both platforms,
believe you.
and I said, I think I agree with more of the left than I do with the right. But with that being said, of course, not one side is completely correct. People who are in my situation, I feel for them, and I want to be able to help them out. And I know there's other...
Wait, pause. It's kind of funny. I can kind of see like the fiduciary guy, the financial guy. He kind of looks like Charlie Kirk.
Don't start this, bro. Everyone is Kirkified.
Okay, gotcha, Roger.
Other people who is going to be their first time voting, and I want to make sure that they have a right path and they know.
Why do you think Republicans don't want to help?
No Republican ever reached out to me.
I see.
Yeah, I don't doubt that Republicans want to help. I never got that opportunity.
Yeah, we just try to help with jobs. That's why I would say economic growth.
Yeah, that is a flaw in logic to believe, because of my personal experience. It's not really a strong reason to hold your beliefs. Because of my personal experience, no Republicans ever reached out to help me. I'm going to lean left. It's not really a strong reason to hold your ideologies.
I guess I'm the unicorn standout here, and that there's a very clear political difference between me and my parents. I grew up in a conservative suburb. In my first election, I voted for McCain because I got the talking points every night, and I was told about redistribution of wealth, and that didn't seem fair to me. But then I got older, I started meeting people with different perspectives, and I started doing my own research.
My party is
All right.
misrepresented by the media.
Wait, hold on. Let's give our predictions. So my party is misrepresented by the media.
I mean,
how many people do you think will sit down and agree with that out of the 6?
Everyone should, because media is a very broad term. So when you say media, that's not like Fox News misrepresents the left. Yes. And then what the fuck is the left? You should know.
So
this.
It would be CNN, NBC.
So they are going to misrepresent the right because there's going to be so much political biases. They're going to just put out anything that's going to get a crazy reaction from their particular group. So everyone should honestly sit down.
Yes.
I think it happens on both sides.
I agree 100%. Like if I had to make prediction, I think 6 out of 6 are going to sit down.
I'd be surprised if 6 out of 6 don't sit down. There's just so much bias in the political media because it just makes money.
Yep.
You get way more money to do stuff like that, to be extreme.
All right, let's see. Huh?
Yeah, everyone sat down.
Okay, guys, follow our betting device. We're 100%. Follow us. We're gonna we're gonna have a betting premium. Pay $100 a month to get our bets.
News channels in general.
I think it's just like a fact of like the media is just so biased on both sides right now. Now I wonder if they could agree on that factor. If they're going to think one side is, I wonder if they're going to be able to recognize the biases their own political news outlets have. That's what I'm interested in.
I wonder if they're going to have like the consciousness of that. Yeah, like awareness.
Can basically just suck.
There was a time when Americans all lived in the same information space, and we could disagree, but at least we were disagreeing on the same set of facts.
Do you guys at least accept there's a big media bias?
On both sides, absolutely.
Mostly for the left, though.
You see, this is what I thought would happen, where one side is like, oh, my side isn't, it's only your side.
Yeah.
That's just not true. Anyone who acts like their media side is completely objective and free of biases, those people are the ones that are radicalized the most, in my opinion.
I mean, how would you even quantify about which news if there's going to be like a particular kind of like majority on which one is like more biased, if they're more left lean bias or right lean bias? I feel like there is perception in the right wing like base that all the basically like social media and like the major news outlets in general are all like left leaning, and they kind of like they kind of discredit like right talking points. But I feel like that is a major like belief in the Republican Party.
Yeah, and it's a belief on the left too.
Yes,
because a lot of people feel like if you ask a lot of really progressive young people will think like the media, even left media, completely slandered Bernie Sanders.
Oh yes,
a lot of people will say that. They'll say they labeled him as a communist. They made everyone so afraid of him. So I think it happens on both ends. I think it just literally just happens on both ends. And some people just are not able to acknowledge. It's like, it's not good to not be aware of the biases that the people that are giving you information have. Like, I watch content from both sides because I know both sides are going to have their own biases. And I'm like, I like to get information from both sides because like, it's going to be really hard to get unbiased information unless it's just facts. Unless somebody just tells you exactly what happened. When people start to tell you their opinion on what happens, there is a bias inherently there. No matter what. So when people say, I think this about something, there is a bias there. Unless they're just telling you information, when they color what happened with their perception of what happened, that's where bias comes in.
Okay.
And that's why I think like him saying like, oh, we're not biased. Is that what he said? We're not biased, or is there not much? Let me see what he said. Because if he says not biased at all, that's way worse.
But at least we were disagreeing on the same set of facts.
Do you guys at least accept there's a big media bias?
On both sides, absolutely.
Mostly for the left.
He seems to really not think he said no. Like he really seems to think that it's like not if there is a media bias that he's acknowledging, he's thinking it's not a big one. So
yeah, I kind of do agree with him.
You agree with him?
Yeah.
Why do you say that? Let's have a civil disagreement.
Let's see here. Basically, on my like upbringing, and when I looked at all the news outlets and everything like that, I feel like there was a lot more bias on the left leaning side when we were talking about like the politics and like issues.
So what things do you think they're saying that would make you say that like they're biased?
Basically, whenever there was like a left leaning like president or a Democrat in power, they were a lot of like positive like things that were spun about, like a lot of like positive media. There was not a lot of criticism, but whenever there was a like right leaning like president or a party that was in power, there's a lot of like negative like biases, negative coverage. There was little to no positive coverage on anything that would be a result of their presidency or their actions or anything that they were putting forth.
So do you not think that exists on the right too? When there's a left-leaning president, there's a lot more. I've seen crazy shit about him.
I do agree.
So I think it happens on both. I think it's like the same. I think.
It does happen on both, but I do agree with Michael in the opinion that there's a lot more left leaning biases in media in general, rather than there's like a right leaning bias. I do agree with Michael.
So, well, what's the deviating factor there? Is it the amount of criticism?
Yeah, the amount of criticism. Basically, there's a lot of like bad coverage, bad press coverage about basically like right leaning like policies and like politicians and like presidents.
I don't specifically watch a lot of news outlets. I watch a lot of political commentators, and man, when I watch a political commentator, like when I watch like Ben Shapiro talk about left leaning people, he's very critical. And then when I watch somebody like Destiny talk about like right-leaning people, he's also very critical. I think it happens pretty evenly on both sides from what I see. Like they're both really critical, and they're really hyper fixated on the negative negative things, especially character attacks.
Yeah, like
I noticed that like when I go on each specific side social, I see a lot of character attacks. I mean, I can understand why I think you might think that because you might not be a part of these both circles, and you might not see how people communicate and express their opinions on the other side. Is what I think.
Okay,
could be wrong though. Maybe you're right. I don't know if there's a way to really see how biased.
Yeah,
there might be a scientific way. We'll look into that after.
Yeah, 100%.
That most of the media is in support of the left agenda.
Melania Trump has
You
yet
see, he said most of the media is in support of the left agenda. I don't agree with that.
to grace one cover of a magazine.
Really?
Well, Michelle Obama was on how many covers? 190?
Michelle Obama was much more.
She had a name for herself. She's a lawyer. Melania's like, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah, I do think Melania's a little bit more private, and that could
She
be
may want
why.
that, yeah.
So,
What makes sense.
yeah, MSNBC, CNN, NBC, even CBS, the list goes on.
In general, more media organizations tend to be
PBS.
a little bit more favorable towards the Democratic position, yes. But I think to say the two biases are the same, the fake news on the right is so much more blatant and
Oh, come on.
You wish the left coin.
So he thinks the bias is so he agrees that it's more favorable on the left.
Yep.
That the media outlets are more favorable to the left, but he also thinks that there's a lot of fake information being put out on the right side. You agree with him or no?
I do agree with the fact that there is like a lot of like left leaning biases, but for the fake news kind of point that he brought up, I feel like there is fake news being propped up, especially during the Trump administration about like both terms.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like things that like character assassination attempts or like some sort of like.
So when he says fake news, I think he's more so thinking about like factual stuff. So one thing people would, I mean, this actually might be before. Let me see what date this was filmed, right? 6 years ago. So it's after, like, some people will say it's fake news that the election, when Trump said that the election was stolen.
Yes.
People will call that fake news on the left. People will call, like, there was like, what was it called? Like there was an alternative to the COVID vaccine that everyone was taking, Vermectin.
Oh yeah.
There was like some kind of like
ivermectin.
Ivermectin. People on the left would call that fake news. So he's talking about information that he thinks you could scientifically prove is not true.
Yes.
That's what I think he's referring to.
That phrase.
I want to make America great again.
All right, pause. I want to make America great again. So that's just that is such a great like capturing of a slogan, because it's kind of like framing it in a situation where America is not great and then we need to make it better, and I will be the one to make it better.
Yes.
So let's see.
Obviously, all the Republicans are going to.
Yes.
We already saw them walk, and I don't think any of the people on the left are going to walk.
Yeah, 100%.
But I'm interested to see why they say that.
Okay. It's like a circle jerk.
Democrat or Republican, right or left, America is our country. We all live here. We're all citizens. I laughed a little bit when we heard the statement, I want to make America great again, opposed to not make America great again. I have no understanding or concept of how anyone in this room could not want our country to be great again.
So she doesn't understand that, like, some people might not disagree, not because they don't want to make the country great. Some people might disagree because they never think that the country has fallen from grace. So she thinks that somebody would only not step up because they don't want to make the country great. But that's not the only part of the question. You have, like you correctly pointed out, some people might have just not walked up because they don't think that the country is in a bad state.
Yes.
The phrase "make America great again" implies that America was great to begin with.
Ooh.
And if it was great to begin with, the question is for who?
Oh, and I never even thought about that. Great to begin with. That's a different perspective. I mean, from her perspective, if we're being open-minded, if you're a black person from the beginning of America, you're not going to think it was great. You started off taken from your family in chattel slavery, brought to a completely foreign country. Chattel slavery just means like you're treated like less than human or something like that. I forget the specifics, but I know it's called chattel slavery. And like for a black person, like civil rights is like a very recent thing. So a lot of black people are not going to look at the history of America in a positive light because that history is a history of slavery for a lot of people that are black. So it makes sense that she's the one who's saying this.
Yes.
It wasn't great for minorities. It wasn't great for people of color. And, you guys sit in a position of privilege, in a position of whiteness, where you can say that because it was always great for you. Absolutely.
Excuse
but it wasn't.
me, I'm sorry, you don't get to speak for me. I'm Hispanic, so you
I'm
don't.
talking from my
You
experience.
just pointed to all of us
But
and
you
called us
passed,
white.
but you passed as white.
My mother was adopted out of Guatemala, and she was an
Well, you
immigrant.
sit from a.
You do not.
Oh, here we go. The rhetoric. We're
Yeah,
talking about the rhetoric.
I mean,
she basically.
she's really offended because she she thinks that she's white, but she does pass as white. She does. Like, I wouldn't have been able to guess from how she looks that she's Hispanic. But I understand why that also makes her mad, because that makes her mad because she's basically using that as a premise to say your point is invalid because you're white, so you don't have a right to speak. And everyone has a right to speak, even the people that benefit from the privilege. They might not. What I don't like about when Black people take this kind of argument is they kind of use it as a way to say your argument is invalid because you're associated with this race, instead of trying to more so focus on the fact that these people might just not notice a perspective. There are just things that they might not notice that a Black person would notice because the experience is different. It doesn't mean that like their perspective is invalid. They just notice different things because they experience a different kind of life because they're in a different group of people, and different groups of people are just going to be treated differently. That's just a fact. We categorize people in our brains based on groups. So it makes complete sense that like different groups of people live different experiences in life based on the prominent stereotypes of the groups of people that are prominent in society. If there is a high positive stereotype of a certain group of people, those people are going to probably live a more positive life. And if there's a negative stereotype of a group of people, those people are going to have a worse experience. And it's just like a fact. So I understand why she says this, but you can't just invalidate a perspective just because a person has a more positive experience in their life. It's not like their valid is invalid completely. It's just a different perspective. So I actually really understand why she's getting mad.
I feel like the conversations like got convoluted to a point where it is based on race, where it should be more class based. I feel like there's a lot of like classism in the American society right now, where people are in a poverty line, middle class, like why
do you think it should be race? Like what do you think drifted? Because the initial conversation was "Make America Great Again," right?
Yeah, "Make America Great Again." Yeah. So I would like kind of like put in forth that it's not more of like a race thing. Of course, race does play a part because it's how you get more opportunities, more like economic opportunities. But I feel like it's more of a classism issue, because there's a lot of like poverty even among like everyone, like Hispanics, white people who are in trailer parks and stuff like that. Blacks, Asians, Hispanics, like all
I think
that.
it's important to mention the race part because, like she said, when she thinks about it, she's like, for who? Because she thinks about Make America Great Again.
Yeah.
When her history of the past is in America that had a lot of laws that were very oppressive towards Black people, she thinks like, well, are we trying to go back? So she's basically saying it's a little vague.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not really specific to what the goals are of like what we're trying to do. So I think it is important to race to acknowledge like it's almost like it's the opposite of progression. It's regression in a way to say Make America Great Again. And so it's like there's like this initial kind of flaw with that where it's like not only are there problems that society is facing now that a lot of people want progress from, but people don't want to regress to the past problems. So I think it's important to like, it's a really semantics based thing, but I think it is important to say like when you say Make America Great Again, people are going to interpret that completely differently. Somebody who thinks like their experience of the past is bad, they're not going to want to go back to the past. And somebody who thinks their experience of the past is good, they're going to want to go back to the past. So I think it's important to acknowledge how race makes you perceive that slogan.
Yes.
I think they're both important.
To you, I will not sit here and be pointed at and told that I am sitting in a position of white privilege.
This isn't about you. That's the problem with
How is it not about
It's not about you. I'm talking in general. I am talking in general.
How is that in general?
If you let
I
me
would
talk,
never sit in
If
this
you let me
room.
talk, I would be more than glad
I would
to tell
love
you.
for you to
Can I
clarify that, but
finish?
you better take better care with your words.
Don't tell me what I bet her do. Thank you. My point is, when we have a country that was built on the backs of slavery, the things I still feel today as a Black woman, there is no making America great again. It implies that we want to go back to racism, heightened racism, because it still exists today. It implies we want to go back to, having KKK out and about. They have a social media presence, but having them.
Yes, I know. I've been threatened by them twice.
What's
Yes,
happened
I'm on their
recently
hit
since
list.
Trump has been elected.
When I hear Make America Great Again, I think he's just talking about the numbers, economic growth. To say like all white people
That's why I think it's dangerous though, because it's
we won World War II. When I hear Make America Great Again, I think he's just talking about the numbers, economic growth. To say like all white people think that way is wrong. It's just talking about.
That's why I think it's important to have a conversation, because when a phrase is vague, people are going to hear completely two different things. I do think that when Trump says that, I think if we're being really genuine to what he's saying, I don't think he's talking about white supremacy. I think he really is talking about the economic. I think that guy is actually 100% right. I think Trump is referring to the economics of the past.
Yes.
I do think that's what Trump is referring to. But we should still acknowledge that to a person that has a negative history, it's very easy to associate that with the negatives of the past, because we're not being specific. It's not like make America's economy great again. But I also understand like that wouldn't catch as a slogan.
Yeah.
Like nobody's gonna say make America's economy,
Wowzers.
make America great again. So I think it's important to have these open dialogues, more so from the left, where the left should be open to hearing what people mean by that.
Yeah.
Let people explain instead of like assuming, oh, this is supposed to go back to slavery. And it's okay to like be taken aback at first, but you should let people explain what they mean by the things they're saying before you openly label and say, this is what this is doing. So I think it's more so the left in a way needed to be more open-minded to that, to listening to what people mean when they say make America great again, instead of saying this is racist or this is for white supremacy. Let them explain what they mean by that instead of assuming, and then have that open dialogue.
100%. We need more of that.
I agree.
How when we won World War II, we defeated the Nazis. We were the best country in the world at the time, given the fact all the segregation in the South.
So that's why I think it's dangerous, though, because it's too broad.
I just feel like even if he made it
I wish he explained what he thinks is dangerous about it. I agree that it's very vague and broad, like I said earlier, but what about that is dangerous?
I do agree. Yeah, it's like I wonder. I do want to talk to him. A lot of what Jubilee does is like they don't really like put up the full video about it. They do a lot of cuts.
That's what they used to do. They stopped doing that.
Okay.
Like some of these other videos we have that we're gonna eventually react to, they don't do that anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, this far back, yeah, they do
Okay.
a lot of cuts.
Okay.
They cut to the most impactful moments.
Yes.
For virality. This is back when YouTube didn't reward long form content as much. And now YouTube, the longer your shit, bro, it's high reward.
Okay.
Like,
Awesome.
What are we at? We're at like 30 minutes right now, bro. We're getting those benefits right now.
America economic again. They would say, oh, he's trying to take the minorities out and make it more economic. Anything that he would say, they would attack it.
We should help the underprivileged.
What do you think about that?
I feel like as a society, it's our duty to help to help the underprivileged, like people just to move up, to get like some help, some assistance, anything of that nature. I feel like there is a duty in society in order to, the strong help the weak, the weak get strong as a reciprocal to that kind of thing. But I feel like there is also a sort of like ideology in America where you should only help yourself, and the more that you help yourself, the better that you are in life in general. But
yeah, what I tend to notice is a lot of people on the left will probably agree with this. Like, we have almost a duty to help as many people as we can, but a lot of people on the right, it's not that they don't want to help, but they want to encourage people to be self-sufficient.
Yes.
It seems like. So a lot of people on the right want people to be able to do things themselves.
Yes.
They want people to be able to say, I made this money myself. I got myself out of this position. I worked hard and I earned this. They want people to be self-sufficient. And people on the left, it's not that they disagree with that, but they want to also have more assistance from the federal government to help people. And the right wants less. They want people to be more self-sufficient with less help from the government, because the right has this kind of belief that if we have more help from the federal government, people will be less self-sufficient.
Yes.
So I expect, like, I would be surprised if all the people on the right agreed with this.
I think
Everyone
it's
agreed.
our basic rights: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Right? Everybody should be on the same level playing field, right? Especially the underprivileged who don't have these.
Wait, pause here. I feel like the difference is how much should we help. So basically, like they're gonna differ their opinions about
and how we should help,
and how should we help. Yeah, should the government help? Should it be like basic, like maybe like social programs in our community?
Yeah, because like the left believes in universal health care.
Yes.
And the right doesn't agree in that. So like that's something. It's a big difference in how you help.
Okay.
An education system that's not as good quality as certain places.
And then do you think that's almost a disservice to them, having to go to a college where they're not almost prepared?
Exactly.
They were given, though, like the opportunity because of maybe like affirmative action, for example, where they get into that spot and they're like, oh, wow, I'm kind of overwhelmed.
There's a number of factors factors that we have to consider, if we're talking about schools.
So yeah, it's a difference of how we help people. We don't put people based on a role, is what he's implying, which I understand, and I think I actually that's one I think I kind of lean a little bit Republican on, just a little bit.
First of all, we don't pay teachers enough, so it's not exactly attracting the best and brightest individuals to raise our kids. If you do great as a teacher, the incentive is to move to a better school with students who are already have economic advantages.
For example, I'd want voucher
He's
systems for underprivileged kids to go to good schools.
What makes them underprivileged?
I would say economic status.
I guess my question is, why aren't the parents working?
Oh, there could be a whole slew of social economic factors that are pertain. That's kind of like a ticking time bomb, like a kind of like a popcorn.
I want to notice the flaw in her thinking. Right? She asked him. Let's go through what just happened. Right? She asked him, "What makes them underprivileged?" And he answered, "Their economic status."
I would agree.
A lower economic status, and then her, she has this. She assumed that means that the parents aren't working.
Yes.
She made this association that all people of lower economic status come from a place of a family that doesn't work. She's probably going to say it doesn't work as hard. This is an assumption on my part. You could have a family, like he just acknowledged, like teachers get paid less, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have a family of teachers, you're going to be of lower economic status.
Especially in like the public school system. It's like teachers that are in elementary school, middle school, high school. Those are the teachers that their salary are going to be way less than if they weren't if they worked at like a charter school, a private school, maybe a college or university.
There's so many variables that could cause somebody to be economically underprivileged or have less of an access to economics. It's not even just how much you work. Somebody in the family dies. We never had life insurance. Half of the income is gone.
Yep.
They had the more profitable job. Maybe they were traditional. They believed that, oh my God, women shouldn't work. Now the woman is fucked. She has no college degree because she was relying on finances from her man. He died in a car crash or something. They never had life insurance. Like this stuff can happen.
Yes.
Like it's very important to acknowledge the only variable for economics is not just finances. Like if you lose access to somebody who could acquire said finances, like the kids can't work. So it's like one person can only bring in so many finances. One person can only work, and you can only do you can only bring in the money that you have the skills to bring in the money for. And what I mean by that is like, if you're a doctor can only bring in a doctor's money. If you don't have the skill set to be a doctor in the first place, not anyone can be a doctor. If your skill set is not equipped to be a doctor, like if every time you do surgery, you're like, oh, I'm so gross. That person can't be a doctor. I'm grossed out by blood. I can't be a surgeon. So it's like the problem with her logic is she's, right now, from what I'm noticing, is she's came to an assumption that a conclusion can only have one path.
Yeah.
We can only get to a path of lower economic status from a lack of work on the parents. And there are so many variables that it looks like is not going to be acknowledged that could lead to this.
Yeah, I would agree with him because he's thinking about it more generally. I would agree that we should help people who have a lower economic status rather than looking and delving deep into the factors about what caused their economic status. I do 100% agree with his kind of like general approach. While she's going to be trying to get into specifics, maybe and
that's a fundamental flaw I see with a lot of conservative logic is this assumption that the lower economic people fundamentally are less hardworking or don't work as hard. And the reality is we don't know why people are necessarily in their circumstances. The only reason somebody could be lower economic status is not limited to one variable.
Yes.
And they're so hyper-focused on this one variable that could lead to a lower economic status, because that is true. If somebody has no ambition and just doesn't work, these people do exist, but they're not all circumstances.
You betcha.
Well, maybe they came from a situation where their mother was maybe in prostitution or something.
Well, a lot of kids are underprivileged because of the socioeconomic status they come from. The way our systems and our districts are set up, it's, keep the poor here, keep the rich here, lack of opportunities, lack of education. Kids that are sex trafficked are made primarily foster youth
Sex
of
trafficking
color.
is very different.
But it
than
turns into
underprivilege.
it turns into adult prostitution. That's underprivileged too. If you're a foster youth, I was sexually exploited as a foster youth. I wasn't prostituted, but I was sexually exploited. And when I was incarcerated, when I was a teenager, I was incarcerated with dozens of little girls that were in jail for being sexually exploited by grown men. So even as we touch on the Me Too movement, these are people that are getting away with,
The Me Too movement originated in Hollywood with actresses that were paid millions of
But
dollars
it's
by a
real
director.
everywhere.
No,
It gave
what you're
voice
talking
to
about
it.
is very different.
It originated there, but it gave
I mean,
voice
I
to
think
everyone.
the Me Too movement needed to happen a lot of ways.
Absolutely. When it came out, even though it happened in Hollywood, I went on social media.
I agree with the point that the Me Too movement needed to happen, but it grew so degenerate and it moved so far from its original point that
what does that even mean?
So so the Me Too movement was needed because there was a lot of like sexual exploitation in the movie industry where a lot of directors were abusing their powers over actresses in order to get them so there's an actress wanted a big role in the movie and that the only way that they could get that was a director of that big movie would cast them in, and so the director would use the power that they had. Like Harvey Weinstein is the perfect is the guy who was mainly like the big fish. So he would use his status as a big director on all these big movie sets and everything like that, and he would target these actresses and everything like that were trying to come up and have a big role, and he would make sexual advances on them, and then the actresses they felt that in order to progress their career they had no choice but to accept the sexual advances of this one of this director, this demon. And I do agree that it needed to happen, but it kind of as we move further and further along in the timeline of the Me Too movement, basically it kind of like grew into a degenerate way where a lot of people were saying that he sexually exploited me, he did this, he did that, while there was no evidence whatsoever about those things that were happening from those individuals. So as an example, a woman would frame a man as they sexually exploited me, they did this, they did that, and off the rise of the Me Too movement, the public and social media perception was all riding on the woman. They would support her. They would say go girl. We would support her, while there was no evidence whatsoever that the person in particular, that man, did any of those things.
So why do you think it's degenerate? Because somebody accuses somebody of something when there's no evidence. I don't understand that. Basically,
it's degenerate because there is no credence, there is no credibility in those claims, and those claims are so severe that it could derail that person's entire career, position, and status. It could completely level them.
What if those claims are true?
If those claims are true, all power to those claims and everything like that. But more often than not, people would use this power, this way of accusing as a way of getting validation, power, status, and there would not be any credence or evidence to these things that actually happened whatsoever, and so it got abused. It got kind of the original.
Do you think people need evidence of a crime that was committed to
yes.
speak of their experiences?
Yes, if you're talking about someone, he raped me, he sexually abused me, he sexually touched me in this sort of way, you absolutely need some sort of evidence or something like that in order to kind of
I don't agree with that. You might need evidence for a conviction, but when I think about the perspective of people who have been victims of sexual crimes, a lot of people go into this activation of their fight or flight response system, and a lot of people really don't know what to do. It's not like people are really taught what to do in experience of times where you experience sexual misconduct and sexual assault. So a lot of these people, right when this happens, they're not in the mindset of a logical mind where I have to figure out, I have to make sure I gather the evidence. Some people can't even do that because they're so they feel so ashamed after what has happened to them. Ashamed that somebody did something with their body that they had no control over. That some people don't even have the power to even go to the cops to admit, because they don't want to re-experience it. And some people just want to forget about it. But sometimes with enough time and with enough acceptance of what has happened to them, some people change their minds in hindsight when they say, I want to speak about my experience. So when I think about that, there are so many reasons that somebody might not gather evidence when a crime is committed on them that have to do with stuff like shame, stuff like just not thinking about what you're going to want from the future. Maybe you just didn't even want to do it then, but you changed your mind. I don't think a lack of evidence is a bad thing, because I think there's a lot of plausible explanations for why, reasons that make sense. And I think people shouldn't be afraid to speak up about their experiences just because they don't have hard evidence that it happened. Now, I'm not saying we should treat these people as if they did these crimes. That's a different thing. To treat somebody as if because really what you're saying that I really disagree with, strongly disagree with, is this idea that because there's a lack of evidence, we should not speak about these experiences. Strongly disagree with that, because if these experiences are true, if somebody came to me and said, hey, Hunter, I was raped, but I can't prove it. Should I talk about this online? I would say, fuck yes. If you feel like you want to share your experience with the world, that is your lived experience. And if you're telling me the truth, you should do that. Now, does that mean that when this person comes out with this information, that we should take everything they say as solid truth, that this is the truth and this is everything that happened? And should we hold that person to the same standards as somebody who went to a court of law and was convicted with hard evidence of what happened? No, I think that could be true as well. We could, because they're allegations at the end of the day. I don't think people, just because they speak of their experience of an allegation, we should hold them accountable as if they are creating these allegations with the intent of malice. I think that's a flaw people can make, where it's like, because there are people that falsify sexual assault allegations, we tend to be too quick to hold people to the same malice when we hear those allegations without hard evidence. When I don't think that's right. I think that disincentivizes people that truly went through these experiences from sharing their experience. I think we just don't know. I think we should be able to be comfortable with saying, we don't know if this is true or not. If this is true, we support you. But since we don't know this is true, we're also not going to go really hard on the person that's accused, and we're not going to go hard on the accuser. I feel like that would be like the best middle ground kind of path to go, because without hard evidence, like you said, there's no way to prove either or.
Yeah.
We can't disprove and we can't prove. So I think the real problem comes not from sharing your experiences, but from how people react to that information that comes out. So I think it's more of the mob mentality, and the mob that takes that information and wants to destroy a person's reputation more so than a person. Because if the person came out and they're telling the truth, or even if they're lying, whatever happens after is not really their fault. It has to do with the people that take that information as factual when there is not sufficient evidence to prove that. Because I actually agree with what you're saying. Like, when there's not hard evidence, people should not have I don't disagree with what you're saying. People should not have to suffer those consequences. But I think more of the accountability should go on the people that take that information as factual when there is not enough sufficient data to prove that. That's what I think.
Okay, I would. So one of the most famous examples of a scenario where this did happen, where a person completely falsified about what happened to themselves and tried to basically hide under the guise of sexual assault and basically abuse, was in the Amber Heard trial, where Amber Heard tried to basically pin all of her abuse and things of that nature on Johnny Depp, when there was no evidence whatsoever that Johnny Depp ever committed anything.
I didn't notice about the trial. Keep going. I didn't notice about the trial.
Really? So how do you
I didn't watch it. I never watched Pirates of the Caribbean, so I didn't care.
Okay, basically, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were in a relationship, and basically, as they broke off the relationship, Amber Heard basically was made claims that Johnny Depp basically sexually assaulted her and abused her, and then basically Johnny Depp and then Amber Heard sued Johnny Depp for these claims and everything like that, and they were in the court of law, and they basically found out that in the court of law about evidence and everything like that, that Johnny Depp didn't do any of these crimes or any of these things that she was claiming.
So did they prove that she lied, or did they not have sufficient evidence to convict them?
They basically proved that she lied, because all the accusations and evidence that she put forth, she framed it in a way that she framed it in a way that you would she said, he did this to me. One of the famous things was like I think that she pooped in the bed, and basically she framed it as in a way where he abused me so much that I couldn't go to the bathroom, and so as a result of the abuse, I had to basically shit on the bed and everything like that. But later in the trial, it was revealed that it was her dog. that actually did it in an event. I might be misremembering things, but basically that's basically one of the tip top examples about basically someone skewing the accusations and evidence in a way of trying to damn someone's career and flip the narrative.
Yeah, it exists. Those experiences happen to people.
Yes.
Like, that's why people get so mad, because we know what those experiences and what it could be like to have your reputation destroyed by a lie. We fundamentally understand that that's a moral wrong.
Yeah.
And that's why it makes us so mad. It makes me mad to hear if somebody were to lie and try to ruin somebody's reputation with something that they did not do.
Yes.
That would piss me off. But I think it's more of a problem with how people take the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, and it happens on both sides, some people are so quick to hear, like when somebody has allegations, to destroy that person's character. Some people are just so quick to say, you're a bad person. I can't, even though there's not sufficient evidence to prove conclusively that those actions had occurred. And then people on the other side are so quick to assume malicious intent when people come out about sexual assault allegations, that they're so quick to shame, especially when it's somebody that they like. When it's somebody that they like, people are really so quick to come out and say, you're a bitch. How could you accuse this person of happening with this? I think more so people should just be able to wait until there's conclusive evidence before picking a side. And if there's,
I agree.
People should be able to be open about their experiences. Like, if that's your true lived experience, you should be able to be open about it. And people shouldn't go around and act like it's fact on either side of the spectrum. People shouldn't be until it's like, because I think the point of, like, especially like if there's a pattern of people coming out, man, if 20 people come out about one specific person, there could be a conspiracy, but I think the likelihood is that it's not. Like, if 20 people that are not connected to each other in any type of way are coming out and they're like, this person sexually assaulted me, and then another person, this person sexually assaulted me. That's where I would start. Even though there's no hard evidence, I would say there's a pattern of people, because that's not normal. It's abnormal for people to come out, even for famous people. It's not normal for a lot of people to come out about sexual assault allegations. Like, there are a lot of famous people that have never had a single sexual assault allegation. So I think that people should just be like less extreme when these type of stuff happen. I think it's more about the reaction than the people talking about it.
Okay.
All right, let's keep going.
And put #MeToo. It empowered me. It gave me a voice. It made me feel like I wasn't dirty or I did something wrong. I'm okay, finally, with being vulnerable and telling a story about something that impacted me as a child. And that impacted not just me, but thousands, maybe millions of girls.
The other side's agenda has caused my life harm.
Actually, I'm coming in.
I can't remember if it was the first time Obama was elected or the second time, but I do remember I was in middle school and a girl came up, got into my face, and was like, "You're gonna cry because your president wasn't elected." I felt very attacked and very unsafe in that moment.
I would say mine was a little bit more life and death situation. I was attacked outside of a restaurant and stabbed 4 times. Back in Ohio.
Worse than mine.
So I just wish I could open carry and protect myself
Ah.
effectively. That's why I feel like the other side's agenda kind of put me in harm's way. I have a Second Amendment right, and I have a right to carry, and I don't see it any different, really.
I like him. He's really able to articulate his thoughts, because I love a problem people have when they articulate their beliefs is they're not able to say why.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say, I believe this, and I like that I don't have to wonder how or why did he feel like their agenda caused his life harm. He's able to really articulate, this is the reason why. I feel like they did, and here's why.
I feel like if more people like elaborated their ideas and thoughts like Michael did right there, I feel like we would be in a lot better discourse between like the two sides, because I totally agree. He had a anecdote from his own life where he probably lives in like a liberal state or something that bans open carry, and his life would be more safe, or he would feel more safe if he had the option of open carrying rather than just having a knife or some sort of like not a gun as a weapon.
And it's important to talk about these things when making big decisions, because decisions you make impact the entirety of an entire country. Mm-hmm. Or if it's at the state level, I guess just your state. But these conversations are still important to have because it impacts people's lives. So we need to hear from people that feel like they're affected on both ends, from gun laws that allow more leniency on open carry, and we also need we also need to hear the other perspective or how I was affected by restrictions. It's very important.
Well, personally, I'm not a person who believes that we need to get rid of the Second Amendment. I think that's a false stereotype that's propagated upon all of us.
Yes.
If I'm with my children and I'm by myself and whatever the case, and I'm being stabbed, bet your bottom dollar, if I have a gun, I'm going to use it, but I'm not going to use a gun on someone just because they're in my way or I feel threatened or the idea of them or, you know, I'm not, but that's what's happening. And that's, you know, yours is an exception. And I'm so sorry that happened. But when we see people getting killed, you know, when we see what happened to Trayvon Martin, you know, when we see what's happening in the world, it's because of, you know, as an identity, as a person, and because of the color of my skin, I'm a threat to you.
I think it's really about gun safety because we're not about taking away the Second Amendment. We're just about making it safer for people to hold arms or.
And for background checks.
Yeah, for background checks.
Background checks completely.
I just set forward because has the agenda, the other side's agenda, personally harmed you. And so, from what I hear, and I don't mean to like disregard, discredit, it seems like someone from the other side attacked you, but not the agenda. The one.
No, I think he was pretty clear that he feels like the consequences of not being able to hold a gun impacted him in that moment. It's like butterfly effect, right? He feels like it's like a butterfly effect. He probably would have had a gun.
Yes.
If he was able to, it sounds like. But let's hear if he articulates that.
Area that might harm me is immigration. I come from a family of immigrants. They're all legal now, and so it personally hasn't harmed me, but I have very many friends and family friends that have had trouble with this, but personally I have not been harmed.
I know that what happened to me had nothing to do with the left's agenda. And I'm sorry, it's just, but still at the same time, I did feel attacked. I felt unsafe at a school I had gone to since kindergarten.
This country is becoming too socialist.
That's a good one.
Two socialists.
My boy Michael.
I would say that people want healthcare for all.
Yeah.
They want college for all.
Yep,
But in reality, someone has to pay for it. I'm okay with the schools being public. I'm okay with the streets being cleaned or, you know, the police force being paid by tax dollars, but that necessarily doesn't need to apply to the whole system.
I agree. I agree with Michael, man. Michael's my MC of so far of this whole video.
I like people that are able to articulate, especially when I find somebody on the opposite end of the political spectrum than me that can articulate their thoughts. I disagree with him, but I like how he can articulate his thoughts very clearly on why.
I think people want socialism, but the country certainly is not socialist, and it never will be.
Yeah, the country, I think that just like millennials, though, I would say a large portion want it.
And as a millennial, I'm just going to say, I don't like to put the labels on things. I don't want to say we want a socialist society. We want a society where we have
I don't like labels
access
either.
to opportunities regardless of party, regardless of race. Yep. When the Affordable Care Act was implemented, you know, I immediately saw that I was paying more out of pocket. All of a sudden, there's this co-insurance I got to pay for. No one likes paying more money, but I understood the reason why. I understood that it benefited people that are less fortunate. More than likely, and this is just my opinion, that Republicans are often, you know, what benefits me as an individual versus society as a whole.
No. I think I care about myself for sure, as anyone should, but collectively, I want America to be great again.
Yeah, but with Republicans, everything is fine and dandy. Give more jobs, give more healthcare, give X, Y, and Z. But then the second it personally affects me and then I have to pay more, then it becomes a problem. Just Republicans in general.
Who are you referring to, though?
Trump just introduced a new budget, 2 days ago, that cut Medicare, that cut healthcare, that cut social service programs to build a wall.
That protects the nation we live in.
What protects the nation is making sure we have access to healthcare, access to education.
You're not the president.
I'm someone that's been negatively impacted by not having healthcare, not having education.
We all have. We all have been negatively impacted.
You've been negatively impacted by someone that crossed the border illegally?
Yes.
My sister has, yeah. Someone tried to break into her apartment.
And you knew he was undocumented for a
fact? Because he worked at her job along with many of the illegal aliens that worked in her company. Consistently, she was being sexually abused. She told her boss. They didn't do shit. And then finally, he got so drunk or whatever, he followed her home and he tried to break into her apartment.
Those things do happen, but it's not an immigration problem.
Just a problem.
You don't think that's an immigration?
I have nothing wrong with immigration.
It's not a problem for all. Healthcare is a problem for all.
If you have a good job or you have
Tend to agree. I think she's making pretty good points.
a job, you should be allotted healthcare from the business. Okay? What's wrong with that?
If you have a job.
Why don't you have a job?
There's just a lot of reasons why people don't have a job. Now, with the type of job, the
Tend
access
to agree
to
with her.
jobs.
So he's fallen to the same flaw before where he's assuming like, oh, everyone's just going to have a job. I mean, the implication of healthcare being only associated with businesses is one, there's a lot. Like one implication, an obvious one is like a small business that might have very little overhead, having the responsibility of providing healthcare. One, it's going to lead to uneven healthcare because they might be forced to pay less for healthcare or have less of a budget for that. And it also could lead to companies not being able to survive because that is too much of an overhead. It like breaks like companies that are like breaking even. Oh, I have a requirement to pay healthcare. Now you're fucked because you can't afford that healthcare. So I think there are a lot of implications of healthcare, be it the onus of that being put on the businesses that are not good. Like even for the businesses, when you take a perspective for the businesses, but it also doesn't apply to anyone that like is in a position where they don't have a job, somebody that might lose their job. There are plenty of reasons people even lose their job, like that are out of their control. Like imagine even we could connect it together, right? My company went down. My company couldn't afford my healthcare. My company now doesn't exist anymore. I lost my job. And during that time I lost my job, something happened and I needed to be hospitalized. And now because I don't have healthcare, because my business shut down through no fault of my own, I can't afford healthcare. I don't think putting all of healthcare on businesses is the smartest move because there are just so many reasons somebody might not have a job. It feels like somebody could be punished over something that is not in their control, in the form that they're not able to receive treatment that they might need to survive. And to be punished when like a business could shut down, you could be fired because of layoffs. There's just so many reasons people could lose their job. I think that there are just too many negative effects of tying all healthcare to private businesses. I don't think it's the smartest way to go about it.
No, it's a real life thing that you probably haven't experienced.
So something that a lot of
It's also not as fair for the businesses too, because then the onus of healthcare is on business owners rather than anyone else. It's also not fair to them.
not a lot of people think about is what about automation, right? There's a company in San Francisco that says if it's repeatable, it's replaceable. So about all those people that are going to lose their jobs. And so how are they going to get Medicare? How are they going to have an education system?
That's a great point.
Well, then you have to get into one of the fields that isn't going to be replaced. That's what
How are they going to pay for their education so they can switch their fields?
Learn to code.
Oh my goodness.
It's not, guys, it's not a right. Go to another country, see what it's like in another country.
But it should be a right. That's the point.
That's right. That's my point, though. To be in this country, it is a privilege.
Yeah, it is.
Earn your privilege.
Okay.
It is not a right. Having a job is not a right. Insurance is not a right. College is not a right. Now, everything in this country is...
So by her logic, that is such bad logic. It's not a right to have a job. So you don't have the right to, which she's not wrong, but so it's not a right, but let's punish everyone that is not capable of having the job. I mean, I fail to see her logic. Let's really break this down.
It should be a right. That's the point.
That's right. That's my point.
Let's listen to this logic.
To be in this country, it is a privilege.
Yeah, it is.
Earn your privilege.
Okay.
It is not a right. Having a job is not a right. Insurance is not a right. College is not a right. Now, everything in this country is free.
Always found a way.
All right, I'm going to pause there because this is the final prompt, and I am very curious to see what everybody says to this. If you would
Cool,
like to
that's-
have a slice of pizza,
Pizza's over. Get some Domino's in there. Whew. They got a good 2-topping.
is this nation too divided?
Yes.
This nation is far too divided.
This
right now.
nation's fucked.
Way too divided.
I think everyone agrees.
I shouldn't have to lose friends over my political views. That's a prime example of just how divided our nation is.
My son, we worked on the Trump campaign, and we worked with Don Trump Jr., and our car was keyed twice because I had a Trump sticker on my car. We were obviously at the inauguration. My daughter was in a black tie. We went to the inaugural wall, of course, and on our way there, she was spat on, literally had spit from one of the protesters for spit on. My daughter's 16. I don't know what you would do.
Yeah, I think everyone should be able to agree that just because somebody believes something different than you, they shouldn't be spit on. Like really, I think people fail to really assess their own logic, because people are like, oh, you deserve it because you believe this. Let's apply that to other things, right? Do you think people that believe in different religions should be spat on? Like a lot of places, isn't spit on somebody considered physical assault?
Yes.
So it's like
You would.
so
That's a crime.
Let's equate that for a second, right?
It's a crime.
I believe that you should be physically assaulted because I do not believe in your political affiliation. It's a dangerous mindset to have. We could justify a lot of dangerous things just because somebody's affiliated with something. Like, truly ask, like, people who think like, oh my God, yeah, if you support Donald Trump, you deserve to be spat on. You should really think for a second about the implications of what you're saying. The implication of that is like, if I disagree with your political, not even just political ideology, it's even worse than that. If I disagree with your belief system for some reason, and I think it is harmful, I think it is evil, I have the right to assault you. I have the right to physically assault you. It's a very dangerous mindset to have. Apply that mindset to religion. We get like insane religious based crimes because, oh, I believe that your religion is evil and harmful, so I have the right to physically assault you. Like, this is a very dangerous mindset to have. And like, I don't think people really think about the implications of the mindsets they have and the things that they morally are justifying by standing behind these beliefs. We should be able to all in unison say that nobody should be physically assaulted because we don't believe in their beliefs, even if we think those beliefs are evil. Like, I don't think just because somebody thinks, like, I'm a black person, bro, I don't think just because somebody thinks that whites are superior to blacks, we should just murder them and kill them and stuff. Like what is that going to do for society besides, like, make people that see themselves in those people hate us even more? It's not going to do anything positive. The better thing to do is, if we truly think these beliefs are wrong and we truly believe these people are misguided and they're pushing us in the wrong direction and that these beliefs are harmful, is to figure out why these people believe those beliefs in the first place and address those concerns. Because it's kind of like, if we think people are wrong, right? Like, I always think of children, bro. Like, imagine like somebody comes to the wrong, like, conclusion in like the setting of a classroom. I got the question wrong in an algebra test. How do we like help those people that come to what, if we truly believe they came to a wrong conclusion? We don't help those people by spitting on them. Oh, let's spit on the student, because that doesn't do anything, because you're not addressing what led to them to that conclusion. We're not addressing that. So if we really want to solve this problem, we have to address it at the root, and we have to understand somebody's mindset and what path led them to their conclusion before we can even change that. So physically assaulting people doesn't do anything except people like, oh, I got the math problem wrong, I'm going to get physically assaulted, because they don't even think that, by the way. It's like people that get the math problem wrong, they think they got the math problem right. But it's like, it's the only analogy I can think of, because it's like, it's about like, if you want to change somebody's mind, you don't go about it by just physically assaulting every single person that disagrees with me. And not only that, bro, like, people don't acknowledge that, like, when we justify physical violence, like, if we justify this kind of physical assault on people with beliefs that we don't agree with, I don't like the fact that, like, we could be wrong and we could end up, like, in hindsight, like a belief system, we might beat people up for a belief system. Like, think about black people that advocated for their rights, right? The KKK believed with from the bottom of their heart that they were doing the right thing. They thought it was the morally righteous and justice thing to do. And in hindsight, we look back at that, and what do we say? We say that was a morally wrong thing to do. And not only was the actions wrong, the belief system was wrong. We as a society have collectively decided racism is wrong. But they believed that racism was the correct way of thinking. So when we justify this kind of physical violence, I'm not a fan of it, because we potentially justify physically harming people for moral beliefs that, in hindsight, in the future, might be considered wrong. Just saying, like, we don't want that, because if we justify it for us, the same thing applies for them. Then they're going to be like, oh, they could do it, we could do it too, because it's not a good path to go down. Or do you think I'm wrong?
I completely agree. I would actually add on to the fact that responding with physical violence and violent rhetoric in general is going to absolutely do the opposite effect, and it's going to sink people who you want to change their political beliefs, or you want to convince to your side. It's going to sink them further deep on the other side. It might even turn them into a more radical version of themselves. Yep, 100%. And it's going to actually make the divide even greater, because what in human physiology, psychology, yeah. If you respond with violence, what is that gonna typically, how will people respond to violence? Typically people might respond to violence with more violence, or a reactionary type of violence.
Yep.
So
they will activate fight or flight mode.
And
if they activate fight mode, bro,
And that's how a civil war will happen. That's how,
Yes.
protests, peaceful protests will, turn into a violent protest. It might injure people, might kill people, might have a lot of injuries along a lot of the people in the protest. It's how you will basically, sink this country into a pit where we might not get out of.
I agree with you completely.